Exactly 2 months before EVGA quit the graphics card business, they released a $1,600 carbon fiber PC chassis with the motherboard suspended by steel cables, analog temperature gauges bolted to the bottom like a race car dashboard. Not a GPU, a whole PC chassis, carbon fiber, the same material as a McLaren, but for a PC. And 2 months later, EVGA was gone. Everyone's postmortem was about Nvidia. It was about margins, about the GPU exit, but nobody talked about the chassis. Nobody talked about what else this company had been building for 23 years because, well, they were too busy looking at the graphics cards. But EVGA was never really just a GPU company, and in this video, I'm gonna prove it to you. All right, first, there's 3 things before we get into it. First off, in 2019, EVGA made a sound card. And I'm not talking a gaming sound card, an audiophile sound card. It got recommended on hi-fi forums by people who had never even heard of EVGA and never would have cared. And I'm gonna get into why that happened in a bit. Second, in 2010, EVGA built a motherboard so physically large that standard PC cases couldn't even fit it. So they invented a new form factor. They named it themselves and they partnered with a case company just so people had somewhere to put the thing. And third, there's a program that EVGA ran for nearly a decade that no other hardware company in the industry has ever replicated, not even once. Now, we're gonna hit all 3 of those, but first, you need to understand what kind of company EVGA actually was because it changes everything else. EVGA was founded in 1999. They made Nvidia graphics cards, which is the version of the story that most people know. But again, the GPUs were never the identity. They were the revenue. The identity was the philosophy underneath. And the clearest proof of that is a program called Step Up. Within 90 days of buying any EVGA graphics card, if a newer model dropped and you wanted it, you could send yours back and pay only the price difference. That's it. There was no restocking fee. There was no runaround. You just paid the delta. Now, no other AIB partner did this. Asus didn't. Gigabyte didn't. MSI didn't. EVGA looked at the standard GPU buying experience and decided to absorb the risk themselves to prove that they could do better. Yeah, people noticed. The loyalty was not normal brand loyalty. Forum threads from 2007 still had active replies in 2022. There were still people talking about the RMA where someone picked up the phone quite literally on the second ring and had a replacement shipped the same day. That culture is what funded everything that you're about to see, including a motherboard that should not legally exist. But if you want a really good all-in-one system, might I recommend a company that you might have heard about on this channel? It's called Meta PCs. Guys, go to metapcs.com and check out our ready-to-ship systems. It's in the name, boys and girls. That means they're ready to ship out the next business day. They come with lifetime support. Beautiful systems with great components you can trust. And if you're sick of hunting around the internet looking for RAM, looking for all your components, what's cheap, what's expensive, go to metapcs.com. We've made it so easy for you to buy a system that is plug and play. Take it out of the box, plug it in, use it. Building your own PC, mad respect. You could totally do that, probably save a little bit of money, but if you just want it to work out of the box, Meta PCs is a great solution. So check us out for ready-to-ship systems, custom builds, even water-cooled builds at metapcs.com today. Let's do the SR2 first, because this is the one that broke the mold, quite literally. In 2010, EVGA releases the classified Super Record 2. It's a dual-socket LGA 1366, 2 Xeon processors running simultaneously, had 7 PCIe slots, and running at crazy bandwidth. The board was so large that the standard ATX, eATX, none of it even applied. So what did EVGA do? Well, they invented a new form factor designation, HPTX. The board didn't fit in any case that existed, so they had to collab with a specialty manufacturer just so buyers had somewhere to put it. But you know what? Here's the part that actually matters. It was the only dual socket board of its generation that could overclock Intel Xeon chips. Every other option locked you at Intel's stock speeds. These were server-grade chips. They were never designed to be pushed. The EVGA took a look at that hard architectural limit and disagreed with it. They figured out how to push QPI frequency on hardware that Intel had explicitly not made pushable. The board came with with a matching 1200 watt PSU that they designed from scratch, specifically to run it, with adjustable voltage rails so that you could distribute power to individual outputs for overclock stability, custom power supply, and a custom case, all for a motherboard in 2010. Now, the SR2 was $599, and it's not even their most extreme motherboard. You know what? That title actually goes to the Dark series, the Z490 Dark, the X299 Dark, and the Z590 Dark, just to name a few. These boards also, I gotta say, pretty cool. They had zero RGB, none. EVGA's actual marketing copy for their flagship product was this. This board politely reminds you that you can't see pretty in the dark. And you know what? This was in 2020. That was when every other brand was in a full LED arms race. The Dark series was co-designed with their buddy Vince here. He's better known as Kingpin. He's an extreme overclocker, and this man only set 12 records on the X299 Dark alone. And I'm not just talking category records either. We're talking champion level overclocking. The boards had active fan cooling on the VRM section because, well, they were designed for people who push hardware past the point where passive cooling becomes a wishful thought. And at some point, EVGA just decided their motherboard division existed to embarrass the competition. And, well, the record books agreed with them. But the part of the company that actually saved them, that's next. When EVGA exited graphics cards in 2022, 80% of their revenue walked out the door with the announcement. And the question was, okay, well, what survived? And the answer was Supernova. It was the power supply line that they had been quietly building for over a decade. The G2, P2, and T2 built on Superflower's LeadX platform, which is one of the best PSU OEM platforms on Earth. And when you bought a top-tier Supernova, you are getting world-class internals with EVGA's engineering and a 10-year warranty on top. At MetaPCs, we recommend power supplies every day. I have customers who are running super old EVGA Supernova units with no issues. And when they ask what to replace them with, the honest answer is this. You know what? If it's still working, nothing. The T2 1600 watt became a community legend in the high wattage overclock world, and it still sells at close to the original price because, well, people trust it more than current options. And you know what? That does not happen by accident. EVGA built a business backup plan that they didn't know they needed, and it worked. The PSU division is the reason that EVGA still exists right now in 2026. Okay, now we get to the part that nobody talks about. Guys, real quick, if you're getting something out of this, the subscribe button is right there. It's free. It's 2 seconds. Appreciate it. All right, here's where things get genuinely weird. Do you remember the sound card that I mentioned at the start of the video? Let me set the stage for you. It's 2019. EVGA releases the new audio. It's a PCIe sound, not a gaming card, not a card with surround presets and a bass boost slider, an audiophile grade sound card. And here's why it exists. EVGA's CEO, Andrew Hahn, is a serious audiophile. His personal home setup has an audio note preamp that music historians absolutely drool over. So when he decided to make a sound card, he called Audio Note UK. It's a British hi-fi company with 30 years in high-end audio, and they co-designed the whole thing. AKM, AK4493 DAC, 384 kilohertz, 32-bit playback, swappable OP amps in a real socket, like actual hi-fi equipment. 123 decibel signal to noise ratio, and guess what? It's $249. You had reviewers on audiophile forums that were comparing it to an external DAC setup costing $500 to $1,000. HeadFi had active threads on this card for years, and people who had never heard of EVGA, who didn't care about gaming and didn't know what a GPU AIB partner was, were recommending this thing like crazy. People were required to run a dedicated SATA power to the card to clean up the signal, and some people, it's kind of crazy, also even use separate PSUs to isolate it further. That is a hi-fi community taking an EVGA product seriously as audio equipment because, well, it was. Then there's the EVGA PC case arc, and this one you need to hear in order. 2013, Hadron Air, it's Mini ITX. It had a tilted angle, glossy black side window, and built-in 80 plus gold 500 watt PSU already installed because the case was way too compact for a standard one. And a reviewer said if it had an Apple logo on it, you could probably convince people that it was a Mac accessory. 2016, the DG87. It's a full tower, it's 43 pounds, and they added extra inputs underneath the glass panel with duplicate controls on the top so that you could pick your case's orientation. I mean, who does this? It had a K-boost button on the exterior. It was actually really, really cool. It was one physical button that maxed CPU and GPU clocks simultaneously and ramped all the fans to 100%. And 6 included 140 millimeter fans, dual 420 millimeter radiator support, and an integrated LCD temperature display. Now, reviewers called it Formula One quality engineering at, drumroll please, $229. And then, July 2022, for context, this is 2 months before they exit the GPU industry, the E1. It's an open air chassis, not carbon fiber pattern vinyl, not carbon fiber accents. It's 100% 3K plain weave carbon fiber. By the way, that's the same material that they use in high performance supercars. The entire frame weighs 2.76 pounds. The motherboard is suspended inside on steel cables. 3 analog temperature gauges at the base of the chassis, CPU, GPU, system. It's like instruments on a race car dashboard. The starting price? This is a little higher than the previous case. It's $1,600. Frame and vertical GPU mount only, no components. The top kitted out version of this was $5,000. It had a Z690 Dark Kingpin motherboard, a Supernova 1600 watt titanium PSU, RTX 3090 Ti Kingpin GPU, plus a dedicated shipping case that EVGA valued at $800. Let's go to July of 2022. The company is hemorrhaging hundreds of dollars per GPU. Their biggest revenue source is 2 months from completely disappearing. And then their final major hardware release is a $1,600 carbon fiber open air chassis with a cable suspension system and analog gauges. That is not a company that ran out of ideas. It's a company that seems to have run out of patience. But listen, here's what I want you guys to take from this. The EVGA exit story gets told as a graphics card story. Nvidia treated them badly, margins were gone, and they walked away, which is all true. But the GPU story misses 23 years of a company that kept trying to build something that meant something. A power supply with a trend-setting 10-year warranty is a statement. A motherboard with no RGB that mocks RGB in its own marketing copy is a statement. A sound card co-designed with a British audiophile company is a statement. A 90-day GPU upgrade program nobody was or has been willing to match to this day. A statement. Of course, a carbon fiber chassis with steel cable suspension launched 2 months before you quit your primary revenue source. To statement. Listen, all of those statements say the same thing. We're building for people who actually care, and we're going to act like we care too. And they did. And you know what? That is what the industry lost in 2022. It wasn't a board partner. It was a standard that they lost. And every single time that you buy a GPU from a brand with a 6-week RMA process and a support ticket system that reads like an insurance claim, you know exactly what that missing standard feels like. Nvidia lost a board partner. It's true. But the rest of us lost something that is a lot harder to replace. So drop a comment below. What was your EVGA product that you loved? I want to know. Thanks for watching. Make sure that you like and subscribe if you enjoy videos like this. And as always, see you next time.